The first Arts and Peace Encounters at the Geneva Peace Week. A warm welcome to our viewers online. I'm Marwi, and I'm from Creative Leadership, and together with Sarah Noble, Head of Global Engagements at Co-Initiatives of Change Foundation, we will take you in on an immersive journey through different forms of artistic expression, including music, theater, poetry, and visual arts, combined with storytelling and short talks from peacebuilders and experts at the intersection of arts and peace. We're delighted to partner today with the Geneva Peacebuilding Platform, the Kofi Annan Foundation, the Colombian Embassy to Switzerland, and the Swiss Federal Department of Foreign Affairs. And this event is made possible with the financial support of the Permanent Mission of the United States of America, to the United Nations Office, and other international organizations in Geneva.
The arts play a crucial role in societal transformation, offering individuals and communities empathy, hope, and the motivation to take action. By engaging our imagination, the arts encourage a shift from binary and linear thinking to a holistic experience. At Co-Initiatives of Change Foundation, we believe in the role of the arts to transform conflict. Our Arts and Peace Encounter program will be bringing together artists, peace builders, change makers, and policymakers to champion the role of arts and dialogue, and inspire, equip, and connect individuals with the much needed skills needed to build peace. We'll be hosting our first Arts and Peace Encounter in the Co-Palace, our dialogue center above Montreux, in May 2025 on the 13th and 14th, so please save the date.
An Ode to Music by James Percival. There is a spell in every sound, which is born of music's deep profound, a magic voice that whispers near and soothes the heart and charms the ear. To soothe our hearts and charm our ears, let's welcome Hyung Jong-won, a celebrated violinist who uses his music to build peace between North and South Korea. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I have a friend who lives in Geneva, and she plays the violin, and she knows that I'm doing a peace through music activity, and keeps telling me, Hyungjun, playing the Beethoven Symphony 9 for 100 or 1,000 times will not bring peace as you wish. Yeah, she's right. But that's not the point what I meant. And the point is how musicians bring peace with their skills when they play together in an orchestra. In an orchestra, the musicians are tuned before they play. And without it, it's dissonant, chaos, and conflict. Let me show you how we tune. In reality, I think tuning is empathy, which means the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. In a war, the soldier cannot pull his trigger if he finds out that his family is on the other side. In 1914, on Christmas Eve, during the World War I, it was a Christmas carol, Silent Night, to stop the war between Germans and British troops. And I think the empathy in this case was to sing Silent Night. From the musician's viewpoint, if we can find a good, really good tuning or empathy, whereas wars are happening in the world, we can stop the war and bring peace together. Let me play with an improvised North Korean composed Arirang Fantasie, which was performed by the New York Philharmonic in Pyongyang, North Korea in 2008, with hope that two Koreas will start peaceful dialogues.
Thank you so much, Mr. Won, for sharing your beautiful music and for helping us tune into each other. One of the 20th century's greatest playwrights, Arthur Miller, once said, that writing a play, a worthy play, was the most important thing a human being could do, because plays could ask difficult moral questions and challenge people to make changes. We're pleased now to welcome Dr. Gila Clara Casus, Peace Ambassador, UNESCO artist, and founder of the Sarah and Hajar Accords, for an interactive theater and conflict resolution experience. Welcome, Gila.
Hello, everybody. This is a pleasure for me to be here, and I want to thank you so much, the Co-Foundation, for this. My name is Gila Clara Jesus, and I'm coming from the world of theater. I will explain you a little bit about my education and where I'm coming from. So basically, I began my career as a performer, as an actress, and yes. So I've done the French Conservatory as a performer, as an actress, and as a director. And I knew that theater was more than simply acting on a stage and repeating words that were not mine and moving as a director would like me to do. So I decided to use art therapy in order for victims and people who are suffering from post-traumatic syndromes to speak better. And so I did an MBA at ESSEC Business School in order to understand what we're calling artistic production, and I had the chance to do a PhD under Nobel Peace Prize Elie Wiesel at Boston University in order to understand how a survivor can help the resilience thanks to theater, how a survivor can help with catharsis and fighting misinformation. To complete my training in art therapy education, I did a degree at Université Paris Descartes, the medicine university in France, together with St. Anne Hospital, to understand the relationship between art therapy and psychiatry. Then, after working with Elie Wiesel and the Shoah, I decided to travel, going to Rwanda, working with Rwanda survivors of the genocide, Bosnia, Congo, where I met Dr. Mukwege and Eve Ansler, working with sexual assaults, women, and I was very sensitive to women's rights at that time. And Harvard University invited me to teach this class, Theater and Human Rights, at the Kennedy School. When I was at Harvard, I took a class that changed my life, and this class was done by Tal Ben-Shahar, the famous happiness professor. This was a class on happiness, on positive psychology, and when I explained to the professor what I was doing, he said, you know what? Theater could be a key for positive psychology, but if you really want to make a social transformation with your theater games, well, you need to not only offer the victims to talk, but also you need to go to decision makers, places such as governments. You need to go to private sector, public sector, in order to really have the chance for those people to rehearse real life. And so this is what I've done through coaching. He was the one to really allow me to get into the coaching field. And so I was trained to be a coach, and today I'm dividing my time between coaching and humanitarian purposes. I want to quote 3 people in order to understand what theater art allow me to do in this world. First of all, I think theater art, like music art, like all arts, have a value of transmission when it comes to peace education. And those 3 people that I had the chance to meet really have such a very beautiful message to transmit to the world that I had the chance that they asked me to transmit their words. And so I'm the French voice of Elie Wiesel with the audiobook that I recorded as an actress, with La Nuit, Night, his bestseller, together with Malala Yousafzai, that I'm sure you know, who is fighting for girls' education, and Dr. Mukwege, I just quote him, the one who is fighting for repairing women after sexual assaults. So I had the chance also to be the interpreter and the performer of The Strength of Woman, his book. But when you want to mix arts and peace education, you need to have methodology. And I want to quote those 3 people who have been key for me to understand how to mix those two disciplines and to be transdisciplinary. Tal Ben-Shahar, that I mentioned earlier, with positive psychology. William Ury, with negotiation. And this great lady, who is a French military doctor, Dr. Edith Perropierre, who created TOP, the techniques for optimization of potential and performance. So what is very interesting is that she worked with visualization, and so we thought about how to add theater to this. I had the chance to meet great people in my life, such as Simone Weil, and Dalai Lama, or the Pope, and trying also to explain the key value of art, not only as transmitter, but also as transformator. I do think that art is really a way to transmit and transform people, especially theater art, because for me it's a total art that involves the body as well. So I'm dividing my time between, I said it's coaching, humanitarian, transmission with my classes at Harvard University, and of course artistic, pure artistic, as a director, as a producer, as an actress. What is very interesting is that I'm earning my life thanks to coaching, but people come to me as a coach because of the theatrical dimension. I put theater everywhere. So when I'm coaching people, CEOs, ambassadors, ministers, I'm always having a dimension of rehearsing real life, embodiment, how to get a better charisma, how to do better public speaking. And among my clients, I have the chance to have very prestigious people. I mentioned ambassadors or CEOs. And so in 2012, Nobel Peace Prize Elie Wiesel nominated me UNESCO Artist for Peace. So he asked Irina Bokova to allow me to join a pool that is called the Goodwill Ambassadors. And so you have Goodwill Ambassadors that are very well known, like Claudia Cardinali or Celine Dion. And you have little ants, like me, who is just with the art trying to change things. And so since 2012, I'm at UNESCO, and I'm focusing on two things: women's rights, and I'm created this forum, Femina Vox, every March 7 to celebrate International Women's Rights Day, and World Art Day, April 15, in order to speak about what we're speaking now: social engagement and art and peace, education, art and health. So for me, art as a social transformator is really something important. You have the two posters here. And I'm going to give you an idea of what art allows you to do, and especially theater art. I was telling you about my prestigious clients. One of my coaches was the ambassadress of Emirates in France. And while we were talking, while we were rehearsing, while we were embodying, her message, I was telling her what a pity that it's always men around the negotiation table talking about peace. Why couldn't we imagine something else than Abraham Accords? Why couldn't we have a feminist version of Abraham Accords? The Abraham wives, Sarah and Hagar, or Hajar, in Arabic. So Sarah and Hajar Accords, why couldn't we have Sarah and Hajar Accords? And she said, well, you know what? You should do it. So that's what I did. I knocked at the door of the Bahrain, Morocco, Emirates, and Israel, asking them about women in the governments to sign for women diplomacy, feminist diplomacy, which is more education for women, helping women to become negotiator, and also having more women in governments. And so, the Sarah and Hajar Accords were signed in April 23, 2023. It was not that far, of course, before October 7th. And those four women got together, and we signed in front of a crowd of 200 people, those very important accords. After October 7th, of course, as a good theater activist, I decided to think creatively, what shall we do to encourage those women to still working together? And so after Femina Vox, after Sarah and Hajar, I decided to work with international accords for women in diplomacy and African accords for women in diplomacy. And so basically, I created those alliances among the African courts, in order for African women to get together, representing one country in Africa, and the international courts for women in diplomacy, with First Lady of Bosnia, First Lady of Iceland, women in parliament in Egypt. So basically trying to create this notion that women could also access to different governments and represent their country more than a beauty pageant in 2024. So basically, I do believe that this capacity of performing arts, this capacity of acting that theater is giving us, that art is giving us, can really change the world, especially with what I'm calling diplomatic entrepreneurship. Diplomatic entrepreneurship is when someone, wants to make a difference with what they know. And the bottom top, what my favorite compliment was from a foreign minister with one of the country, I will not quote it, I will not mention the name, but one of the countries said, what is the story of the feminist whatever accords that this girl is doing? What is it? And the answer was, well, don't worry, she's only an actress. I just liked it. And when they saw that little by little, woman came, I was like, that's a very good sign. So I would like now to do a very short exercise, and this is an exercise that we're doing in order to embody theater-wise when we come to negotiations. So I'm going to ask you to turn towards your neighbor, face to face. The closest neighbor, of course. Good. So turn toward your neighbor, and I'm going to ask you to have nothing in your hands. So put everything you have in your hands. Yeah. So I will ask you to raise your right arm. I'm not asking you to swear, I promise. Okay, raise your right arm and put your right elbow in front of an imaginary table. This is the creativity of art. An imaginary table, that is in between you. Now, slowly, I'm going to ask you to take the hand of your partner, like this. Okay. Now, here are the instructions. Your hands can go from one side or the other side of the table. You will get a point. The goal is to get a maximum of points. Again, your hands can go on one or the other side of the imaginary table. You will get a point. The goal is to have a maximum point. I'm counting to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Stop. Okay. How many people did more than 10 points? Raise your hands. A lot. How many people did 0 point? Yeah, interesting. Okay, well, you need to know that, of course, the way I'm saying, the directions counts. But you need to understand that unconsciously, when you get in this position, you immediately think iron, arm. You think that it's a question of strength. Well, if you want to switch that, the goal is not losing when I'm doing that, because I have a point. And if I'm doing this, I'm not winning. I have a point. The other is not my enemy. On the contrary, he's my team member. So we are trying to have a maximum of points, not thinking I'm losing or I'm winning, but no matter what, I'm winning. And I will tell you, in 10 seconds, I even saw people who were able to do up to 70 points simply by doing this. And the person was saying, no, I'm not losing, I'm having my team basically win. So this is what we are thinking when we are trying to do theatrical exercise involving the body, involving a change of paradigm in order to really fully understand what means peace education. I thank you very much for your listening.
Thank you so much, Gilia, for transmitting your pluriverse of theater with us and sharing it so generously. To the next speaker. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. I'm sure you may have heard that before by John Lennon. Jerusalem's project, whose S underlines plurality, welcomes our particularities in defending a common humanity. With us today to share this collaborative project is Carole Fimo, Secretary General of LICRA Geneva, and Alain Bitter, Director of the Institute of Arab and Mediterranean Cultures. Welcome.
Au milieu. Nous sommes très heureux d'être avec vous aujourd'hui et de vous présenter la fresque qui est derrière vous, qui a été créée dans un atelier artistique à la librairie arabe L'Olivier à Genève en septembre par un groupe de personnes de religion et d'origines et de cultures différentes. Elle est l'œuvre de l'artiste suisse François Burland.
We are delighted to present this fresco, which was created in last September, in an art workshop at the Olivier Arabic Bookshop in Geneva by a group of people from different religions, cultures and backgrounds. And this is the work of the Swiss artist François Burland.
Ce projet présente une ouverture de dialogue en tissant des liens entre les communautés et les personnes. La collaboration entre la LICRA Genève, représentée ici par sa secrétaire générale Carole Fimo, et l'Institut des cultures arabes et méditerranéennes, que je représente, une collaboration autour d'une Jérusalem pensée comme plurielle est déjà en soi un manifeste dans ce sens.
This project aims to open up dialogue by forging links between communities and individuals. The collaboration between the Institut des cultures arabes et méditerranéennes, represented by his president Alain Bitter, and the LICRA Geneva, that I, Carole Fimo, represents as her general secretary around a Jerusalem with an S that is seen as plural, is in itself a manifesto in this sense.
Parmi les participants à ce projet se trouvent les représentants de la Fondation de l'Entreconnaissance, de l'association Beit of Hope, de l'association Martin Buber et de l'association Coexistence, toutes engagées dans la construction de la paix.
Among those involved in the project are representatives of the Fondation de l'Entreconnaissance, the Beit of Hope Association, the Martin Buber Association, and the Coexistences Association, all of which are committed to building peace.
Nous allons maintenant vous lire des extraits de l'atelier d'écriture dans lequel ont été écrites les phrases figurant dans la fresque. Cet atelier a été conçu par l'auteur suisse Sandra Mondiano et par Carole Fimo.
We are now going to read you some extracts from the writing workshop in which the sentences on the fresco were written as well.
Les phrases suivantes.
The workshop was organized
Pardon, excuse-moi.
by the Swiss author Sandra Mondiano and by myself.
Les phrases suivantes ont été écrites à partir de phrases extraites de poèmes de Jérusalem de Yehuda Amichai.
The following sentences were written from incomplete sentences taken from poems from Jerusalem by Yehuda Amichai.
Ceux qui pleurent ont aussi des blessures qui suintent comme certains souvenirs d'enfance jamais cicatrisés.
Those who cry also have wounds that ooze like childhood memories which were never healed.
Ceux qui pleurent ont aussi vibré comme des vies éclatées.
Those who cry also vibrate like shattered lives.
Ce qui fait de moi un humain est ma conscience. Mais ce qui fait aussi de moi un humain est mon inconscience.
What makes me human is my conscience, but what also makes me human is my unconsciousness.
La mémoire est ma conscience. L'oubli est mon inconscience.
Memory is my conscience. Forgetting is my unconsciousness.
Celui qui dit « Suivez-moi » est prophète du chaos. Celui qui dit « Le doute est permis » est prophète de lumière.
If he who says, "Follow me," is a prophet of chaos, then he who says, "Doubt is permitted," is a prophet of light.
Celui qui dit « Viens » est prophète de son pays. Celui qui dit « Venez » est prophète du monde entier.
If he who says to one person, "Come," is a prophet in his country, then he who says to many people, "Come," is a prophet in the whole world.
La pierre de Jérusalem est la seule qui soit empreinte de toute l'histoire.
The stone of Jerusalem is the only one that is imprinted with the whole story.
L'âme de Jérusalem est la seule qui sache apaiser.
The soul of Jerusalem is the only one that knows how to soothe.
Les phrases suivantes ont été écrites sur la base de phrases extraites du livre « Une bouteille à la mer de Gaza » de Valérie Zenati.
The following sentences were written on the basis of incomplete sentences taken from the book Une bouteille à la mer de Gaza by Valérie Zenati.
Je voudrais venir boire un café sur une terrasse avec toi à Gaza. Mais comment fait-on?
I would like to come and have a coffee on a terrace with at Gaza with you, but how can you do that?
Je voudrais que ce que j'ai écrit soit lu de l'autre côté. Mais comment fait-on?
I'd like what I have written to be read on the other side, but how could you do that?
J'imagine qu'il a appris à se taire, à faire semblant. On peut peut-être mentir pour ne pas ressembler à un traître.
I imagine that he has learned to keep quiet, to pretend, or perhaps to lie, so as not to look like a traitor.
J'imagine qu'il a appris que si on a de la peine à croire la paix possible, quand le pire s'amorce, on finit par la rendre impossible.
I imagine that he has learned that if you find it hard to believe that peace is possible, when the worst starts to happen, you end up making it impossible.
Je me demande si la loi religieuse a consacré un chapitre pour aider les humains à surpasser leurs instincts primaires.
I wonder if religious law has devoted a chapter to helping humans overcome their primal instinct.
Je me demande si la loi religieuse a consacré un chapitre à la fragilité des parapluies en cas d'orage.
I wonder if religious law has devoted a chapter to the fragility of umbrellas in stormy weather.
Lorsque l'agitation et les fractures reviennent comme ces jours-ci, j'ai l'impression que nous oublions tous ce qui nous relie.
When agitation and fractures return as they have these days, I have the impression that we've all forgotten what connects us.
Lorsque l'obscurantisme revient comme ces jours-ci, j'ai l'impression que nous oublions tous qui pourrait allumer l'ampoule au fond de notre cœur.
When obscurantism returns, as it has these days, I have the impression that we all forget who could light the bulb in our hearts.
Et puis soudain, le patron du café arrive, affolé. Une nouvelle bombe vient d'exploser. Ça arrive souvent ici, même si on croit que c'est enfin fini.
Then suddenly, the cafe owner arrives in a panic. Another bomb has just exploded. It happens a lot here, even if you think it's finally over.
Et puis soudain, le patron du café s'est mis à danser. Ça arrive souvent ici, dès que l'électricité est coupée.
Then suddenly, the owner of the cafe started dancing. This often happens here as soon as the electricity goes off.
Nous sommes conscients que cette paix est encore loin et que le chemin est long. Il vaut mieux ainsi ne pas attendre la nuit pour se mettre en route.
We are aware that peace is still far removed and that there is a long way to go. So it's best not to wait until nightfall before setting off.
Ce projet a réuni des musulmans, des juifs, des chrétiens. Il a aussi réuni des Arabes et des Israéliens. Ensemble, nous avons partagé des moments dans le respect de chacun et de chacune, et cette réalisation artistique veut montrer que l'on peut toujours imaginer d'autres possibles.
This project brought together Muslims, Jews, and Christians. It also brought together Arabs and Israelis. Together we share moments of respect for each other, and this artistic achievement shows that we can always imagine another possible world. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Carole and Alain, for this beautiful words and for this beautiful music. And we'd encourage you afterwards to go and take a look at this incredible 8-meter fresco of Jerusalem. And thank you for helping us to imagine a different future. I praise the dance, attributed to St. Augustine. I praise the dance, for it frees people from the heaviness of matter and binds the isolated to community. Please join me in welcoming Diwele Molale Lubi, Artistic Director at the Motsala Center for the Arts Company, and Delphine Digone, musician, singer, and songwriter under the name Delphine, for an experience in the role of the arts in the liberation movement against the apartheid regime in South Africa. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. In my childhood household, my mother used to tell us stories. And then she would insist that we repeat her chants while she was telling us these stories. And I asked her, but why we should repeat the chants? And she explained that music and dance brings a sense of unity and generates those vibrations that creates greater connection with us, the world, and the universe. She said that everything that we see, everything that we hear, visible or invisible, are all in vibrations. So we are all in vibrations. We are all vibrating. So today, we and Delphine here, we're going to try to generate those vibrations that creates greater connection with us, the world, and the universe, with some gamboots dance from South Africa. Yes. And as my mother said that, this chanting brings a sense of unity. We are going to start by teaching you a small chant. You only, what you have to say is Usutu. 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 Usutu is a Zulu word meaning that I'm here, right now, right here. So we ask you, Chepe! 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 Let's do this gamboots dance. Oza! Boom! Dala! Dala! Boa! Yes! Chepe! 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 Yes! Let's go, people. Osa! Hey! Yes. Where we come from, Nelson Mandela used to say that as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give permission to the others to do the same. So us, we would like to share this light, the light of peace, the light of reconciliation, forgiveness, gratitude, restoration of human dignity and justice, but most of all, peace. We go to another chant. We are chanting people. We go to another chant. So we are going to ask you to stand up, people, please. Yes, and give us some stamping and stuff like that. So the chant goes, Jigawe. 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 Jigawe is a Zulu word meaning keep moving, because we believe that we should keep moving for peace, moving for reconciliation, gratitude, forgiveness, restoration of human dignity and justice. Jigawe. Jigawe. So it goes like this. Let's start. Pepe na pasi kwenta. Pepe na pasi kwenta. Ena mama banga pesi kwenta. Ena sisi banga pesi kwenta. Ena bonke banga pesi kwenta. Ena mama banga keep moving. Ena bonke banga pesi kwenta. Ena sisi banga pesi kwenta. Ena mama banga pesi kwenta. Mr. Pepe na pasi kwenta. Pepe na pasi kwenta. Ena mama banga pesi kwenta. Ena sisi banga pesi kwenta. Khope usu khope oza pop 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 pop. Hey hey. Now mama banga pesi kwenta. Now sisi banga pesi kwenta. Louder. Now sisi banga pesi kwenta. And now mama banga pesi kwenta. Me say papa na pesi kwenta. Papa na pesi kwenta. Hey, continue. Oza. Hey, hey, hey. Boom, boom. Oza. Hey. Hey. And now mama banga pesi kwenta. Now sisi banga pesi kwenta. And now bonke banga pesi kwenta. And now mama banga pesi kwenta. And now sisi banga pesi kwenta. Hey. Oza. Si. Dalaman. Hey. Now mama banga pesi kwenta. Now sisi banga pesi kwenta. And now bonke banga pesi kwenta. Now mama banga pesi kwenta. But what banga pesi kwenta. And now mama banga pesi kwenta. Now sisi banga pesi kwenta. Now bonke banga pesi kwenta. Papa na pesi kwenta. Hey. Soup. Eshe. Gala. Yes. Yes, people. So, as we come from South Africa, we lived in an apartheid area regime, like segregation regime. So this kind of rhythms, this kind of vibrations are the ones that they brought us together. You know, when we were protesting on manifesting against apartheid in South Africa, we did what we call mzabalas. So people were singing and dancing and chanting, everyone. And this kind of chants, they will bring us into some kind of a little trance, you know, a temporary loss of consciousness. That's why the students and the people, they were not even, they will chant and sing while the police were pointing guns at them or shooting them, but they will continue dancing and chanting. So that's, as my mother says, that chanting brings us a sense of unity and generate those vibrations that creates greater connection within ourselves, the world, and the universe. Most of all, peace. So we are going to finish with Delphine today with some iconic songs from South Africa that contributed to the liberation of South Africa apartheid. Give them, Delphine.
And if you know them, you can sing along with us. Wait for Diula to take his djembe.
I got it.
Yeah, he had to go through the rain. It was very difficult not to get it wet. So if you know this song, you can sing along with us.
Asimbonanga.
Asibonanga, asibonanga Mandela tina lape kuna lape heli kuna asibonanga asibonanga Mandela tina lape kuna lape heli kuna. The sea is cold and the sky is gray. Look across the island into the bay. We are all islands till comes the day we cross the burning water. Vulilela wema mgobozi eonyana wam uyashada namhlanje. Vulilela wena maniauza sukbano mona unyana wam utatile bengingazi nyobonu makoti unyana wam unjongile this time mahadebe unsenso spezi uzemshadweni siyashadisa namhlanje bebe city unyana wam lizoka bebe city angekashade vulilela vulilela wemagobozi vulilela yekelomona vulilela wemangobozi vulilela yekelomona kodwa wena mango busy unomona no baunaniana unento bizorwa yo 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 mango busy unomona unaniana uniana unjengu wami bebe city uniana wamli soka bebe city angekashade vulilela vulilela wemamgobozi vulilela yekelomona vulilela wemamgobozi asibonanga asibonanga Mandela tina lape kona lape heli kona
Stephen Biko.
asibonanga asibonanga mfowe tutina lape kona la wafela kona
Victoria Mbengue.
asibonanga asibonanga mfowe tutina lape kona la wafela kona
Mandela.
heiti hewena 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 nawe zero filosofika nini lasyakuna hey asi bonanga asi bonangu mande latina la pecuna la pehelicuna. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Usutu.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Peace be upon us.
Thank you so much, Tiwal and Delphine. You've definitely raised the vibrations of this room. Moving forward to The Mirrors of Silence by Piedad Bonet. And despite the ruins and the dust of history, in some corner of the chest echoes what has not died. Because reconciliation is not forgetfulness or erasure, but a fragile fabric made of threads of memory that still vibrate in the shared silence. We now travel to Colombia, delighted to have Alejandra Quintana Martinez, Director of the Equity for Peace Strategic Line at Alianza para la Paz, sharing her experience in peace and gender equity through music education as a part of the initiatives Acordes por la Paz. Welcome.
It is a pleasure to be here. Who wields an instrument will never wield a weapon. It's a powerful phrase, often used to highlight the role of music in reducing violence, particularly in countries like Colombia, when conflict has left deep scars. Colombia ranks third in global inequality, and over 70,000 children and adolescents have been recruited by armed groups in 60 years of war, and almost 4 million suffered violence. This scenario highlights the urgent need to protect children from violence and from being drawn into illegal groups. We often ascribe music with almost magical powers to achieve this transformation. However, there are multiple forms of violence, symbolic, verbal, psychological, that impose weapons of domination, discrimination, or exclusion based on gender and other identity factors. These can also manifest within musical practices, stereotypes and prejudices that influence the choice of instruments based on their size, shape, or sound, associating them with femininity or masculinity, like violin for girls or tuba for boys, hierarchical gender roles and relationships in playing music, like men directing orchestras, or musical scenarios perceived as unsafe, like outside festivals. In 2009, while conducting research with the National Music for Coexistence plans of the Colombian Ministry of Culture, a key question arose. Is the plan truly fostering peaceful coexistence? The complexity we encountered after raising this question led us 13 years later to launch the project Acordes por la Paz. In the National Music for Coexistence plan, I met Yohaira, a 14-year-old black girl from Yuto, Chocó. She was the only girl playing clarinet in a Chirimia Chocuana group, a traditional male-dominated musical genre. Her brother lent her the clarinet because her father said that buying one for her will be a waste of time, because she will surely get pregnant and quit music. Her classmate rejected her for being a girl, and her friends called her machorra, a derogatory term for lesbian, for being in a group of males. In her context, where sexual and gender diversity is not a right, being labeled machorra was enough to put her under death threat by local armed groups. Despite her passion for music, she had to abandon it. While music can indeed influence social transformation, it is crucial to recognize that the act of performing music together doesn't inherently create peaceful and inclusive coexistence. To maximize music potential as a transformative force, we must intentionally adopt methodologies and pedagogies that foster reconciliation. socio-emotional skills, and human rights through a gender and intersectional lens. In 2022, we created Acordes por la Paz in partnership with Kofi Annan Foundation and Fundación Nacional Batuta, which had led musical training process for over 30 years with children and adolescents affected by armed conflict and vulnerable populations across Colombia. The name Acordes has a double meaning in Spanish, chords and to agree, symbolizing the harmony and shared responsibility essential to peace building. We piloted this project in 2 Colombian borders municipalities, Puerto Asís, Putumayo, and Saravena, Arauca. The initiative involved an exhaustive diagnosis of risk, vulnerabilities, and capacities with students, families, and communities, training teachers in pedagogy for peace building with gender and intersectional approaches, a collaboration with local institutions specializing in the care of children, adolescents, victims, and survivors of armed conflict, as well as with feminist and social organizations. Participation of children and parents in workshops about the stereotypes, prejudices, and prevention of violence. One of our most powerful moments was the Equity Rap workshop, where children created and improvised music on gender equity. If you want to use music in your work for peace, here are some of our lessons that you may find useful. Lesson 1. From a peace-building gender intersectional perspective, working with music is powerful to create a sense of a shared identity among students and to give them space to express their emotions and needs in a creative, inclusive, and equitable way. Lesson 2. Transforming students is not enough. Many threats come from their environment. It is crucial to build an ecosystem of protection by involving families, teachers, local organizations, and administrations. Lesson 3. We must engage all actors in promoting non-violent and co-responsible masculinities and preventing violence based on gender, sexuality, race, ethnicity, immigration, or any other form of discrimination. Lesson 4. Affirmative actions must be implemented to ensure equitable participation and representation of girls and women, recognizing their significance in both local and universal music and redistributing roles between boys and girls in musical practices. Lesson 5. Design creative and contextual methodologies such as local humor, storytelling songs, or identify biases and violence and transform the contents of lyrics in a playful, inclusive, and non-violent way. Based on the analysis of our results, we published the Acordes por la Paz Guide, a gender approach to peace and reconciliation in music education with children and adolescents. We are seeking to implement it in more than 300 Batuta music centers across the country and beyond. You can find the QR code here to download the guide in Spanish. Johaira, the girl who left music in 2009, must be 27 years old now. I hope she found an environment where violence, discrimination, racism, gender preconceptions, and social barriers did not truncate her dreams. As happened with Rosaura, an 11-year-old Venezuelan migrant who found in Acordes por la Paz a place to be herself. Let's see the Rosaura's experience.
Nací en Venezuela y vivo con mis 2 hermanos, mi papá y mi mamá. La música me hace sentir como poder expresar y mostrar todo, me hace sentir libre y muy alegre. Me gusta mucho tocar instrumentos, entre ellos el saxofón, la guitarra, toco las placas y la tambora. Esos talleres, Acordes por la Paz, fueron muy bonitos porque podemos aprender mucho tanto en la música y también podemos aprender más sobre resolver problemas, dialogando, a escucharnos, sobre la equidad de género, la violencia, respetar el género de los demás y dar a respetar el mío. Creo que todos tenemos que tener las mismas oportunidades, los mismos derechos. Nos han dado como la confianza de ser libres para poder expresarnos las opiniones que nosotros tengamos. Los cambios que he visto al principio era como que todo sí, muy en su lugar, no socializábamos mucho, ya compartimos más con otros niños, con los profes también, con mis padres y mis hermanos. Ha sido muy chévere porque esto nos ha hecho concientizar y también ser como más unidos, más unión, ayudarnos más, no resolver problemas discutiendo sino dialogando, y también sirve para uno comprender que somos diferentes, pero si unimos podemos ser mejores. A todos los quiero invitar a que participen de proyectos como este, que es Acordes por la Paz, para que puedan aprender tanto de la parte musical como también de la parte psicosocial.
Recalling the inspiring speeches we have heard this week from Victoria Sandino, FARC EP delegate for the incorporation of the gender approach in the Colombian peace agreement, and Mary Robertson, the first presidenta of Irlanda. In Spanish, we will proudly say presidenta, as well as other wonderful women like Gila. I will end my speech by saying, peace will be with girls and women, or will not be. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alejandra, for sharing your experience and the important work that you're doing. Without culture and the relative freedom it implies, society, even when perfect, is but a jungle. This is why any authentic creation is a gift to the future, said Albert Camus. Please join us in welcoming Rudy von Planta from the Peace, Governance, and Equality section of the Swiss Federal Department of Foreign Affairs, who will share the Swiss perspective on culture and peace. Welcome, Rudy.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you to the Co-Foundation for inviting me and sharing a couple of reflections on the important links of culture and sustaining peace, culture and peace, from an international cooperation point of view. By the way, if you go on the QR code in the middle of the picture, you can access the reflection paper we recently published on that. It's an honor to speak today about the profound role of art and culture in promoting peace. In a world often divided by conflict, we sometimes overlook the power of creative expression to foster understanding, unity, and ultimately peace. Switzerland, through its international cooperation, the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation, has long recognized this transformative potential. We've been working on the topic of culture and development with the focus on social cohesion and peace for over 40 years. Art is more than aesthetics. It's a universal language that transcends borders and ideologies. As the Russian writer Leo Tolstoy wrote, art should cause violence to be set aside, and it's only art that can accomplish this. Art brings people together by fostering empathy, offering alternative narratives, and creating spaces for dialogue. From Myanmar to Colombia, I've just seen that, we see how art not only expresses personal stories, but also builds bridges between divided communities. In the SDC's recently published thematic guidance, boring, I know, but anyway, cultural rights are affirmed as human rights. A vibrant cultural sector is not a luxury. It drives social change, fosters democratic participation, and amplifies marginalized voices. Through artistic expression, Conflict-affected communities process trauma, build resilience, and move towards reconciliation. So how do art and culture contribute to peace? In three key ways: resilience, spaces, and shifts. First, art builds resilience. In conflict zones, cultural activities help people endure hardship, offering nonviolent ways to channel grief and anger. In Colombia, for example, displaced farmers used music to share their stories of injustice, transforming pain into collective healing. Second, art creates spaces for dialogue. Safe spaces are vital for peace building, whether through theater, music, or visual art. These platforms bring together individuals from different backgrounds, fostering understanding and trust. For example, in Sri Lanka, a theater group united conflicting factions through performances during the civil war. Another example from Tunisia, and we're going to see a couple of pictures in some moments, shows how a cultural center in the south of the country brings together formerly hostile groups for a joint dialogue. Lastly, art catalyzes shifts in perceptions. Artistic expression can challenge entrenched narratives, inspiring unexpected yet transformative changes. In Colombia, again, a single concert shifted how policymakers viewed victims of violence, illustrating art's power to transform society. Importantly, art also provides hope. In crisis, when normalcy feels unattainable, art offers a glimpse of a reimagined future. Many peace movements are led by young artists who use digital platforms to foster nonviolence and inspire change. I'd like to invite you to a short video on an example of an SDC cultural activity in North Africa implemented by the Arab Fund for Arts and Culture, AFAC, talking about social cohesion and peace, and also talking about the nexus. The nexus is some kind of a technical thing that in international cooperation is very important, the humanitarian development and peace nexus, where the peace component becomes more and more important.
It's clear for us that the upraising and the strain of reforms initiated in 2011 have highlighted the aspiration of the people in North Africa. The Swiss strategy for this region identified culture as a response for the challenges posed by the transition processes.
The North Africa Culture Program is a program that focuses on cultural and artistic expression, on intercultural dialogue, and it also works on exchange of knowledge, on education and capacity building. All of this creates an environment and a ground for discussions, for dialogue, for critical thinking, and these in themselves are the elements to basically build societies and countries that can deal with conflicts, that can work towards peace building.
We've been working with the Samama Center. It is a center in a very defavorized and decentralized area, one of the poorest areas of Tunisia. And we try to work with marginalized youth together with the center in order to give them a chance to develop their skills and tools in art, circus, cinema, and much more. In the humanitarian issues, we want to focus really on vulnerable people. We want to really develop the area and trying to achieve an holistic aspects and try to involve everybody in the region. On the peace action, it is very important for us to put in center women, that they are important to change the society and change everybody there. This program tailors its initiatives to the unique cultural landscapes of each participating country.
It's no secret that we live in a region that is filled with conflicts, and despite this reality, artists and cultural practitioners and institutions has always been in the forefront of defending the human rights, defending the right to dissent, defending freedom of expression. And if we think of arts and culture as a virtual space where dialogue can happen, where discussions can happen, where more understanding and empathy can be gained, this is where we can reach a more peaceful world.
So Switzerland, through the SDC, supports this vital work, dedicating 1% of its budget to cultural initiatives. However, as we look toward the future, 2025, 2028 and beyond, with the budget constraints, it's more crucial than ever to strategically leverage the arts for peace building. In closing, the path to peace is not linear, we all know that. It requires resilience, creativity, and patience. Art and culture provide the tools to imagine new possibilities, rebuild trust, and connect on a human level in ways political negotiations alone cannot achieve. As practitioners, let's continue to champion the power of culture in our peace-building efforts. Together, through creativity, we can transform conflict into cooperation and division into unity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rudy, for championing the arts for human rights. We really need more people like you. What if words were clay? The silences between them, the open spaces, to be filled or held as empty bowls, where our thoughts could rest or rise. The Shapes of Our Conversations by Judy Brown. Fernando Cometo has skillfully and beautifully translated our intangible words into tangible visual art pieces. A contemporary Argentinian painter and an artist in residence during the Geneva Peace Week has actively participated and engaged with attendees and captured the essence of their conversations in a unique art piece, which he'll now present in French. Thank you. Towards that side.
Bonjour. Madame, Messieurs, bonjour. Je suis Fernando Cometo, artiste peintre en résidence pendant la Semaine de la Paix à Genève, dans son ancienne édition. Je dois remercier d'abord à Geneva Peacebuilding Foundation et principalement à sa directrice Anissa Bellal, à toute son équipe, Dani, Tatiana, Gabriela et à monsieur Olivier Chamard, qui lui, il a géré toute la logistique pour m'accompagner dans ma création. J'étais vraiment contente parce que c'est l'initiative de Madame Anissa Bellal de créer pour la première fois une résidence. Donc pendant une semaine, un peu plus, 8-9 jours, je me suis aboqué à créer la toile qui est à côté de moi à partir de la réflexion sur la paix. Je ne sais pas si la toile a réussi, c'est à vous de le dire, mais pour moi, vraiment a été une expérience vraiment intéressante dans le sens de contribuer de certaines façons à faire un lien entre toute la conscience et les débats autour de la paix à partir d'une expression artistique. Donc je vais essayer à ma façon d'expliquer ma démarche dans ce processus. Donc je me suis dit à un moment donné, dans toutes les idées qu'on a sur la paix, dans tous les concepts, que pour moi je trouve intéressante la construction de la paix, dans le sens de construire la paix dans le quotidien, que chacun peut contribuer à sa façon à développer une manière d'être dans ces planètes avec un peu moins de conflits. Donc, je me suis dit que peut-être l'idée de faire des espaces carrés, une sorte de vignette, avec l'idée de la construction, en gardant toujours mon univers. Mon univers, c'est toujours le domaine social et l'être humain dans son contexte naturel et social, évidemment. Donc, je n'ai pas changé grand-chose de ma façon de créer. Vous pouvez voir sur l'écran certaines peintures de ces dernières années. Donc, je me suis dit, je ne peux pas forcer quelque chose dans le sens technique, mais je me suis dit que c'est vraiment important pour cet événement, dans un sens de donner un peu l'espoir, déjà mettre pas mal de couleurs, donner un peu de couleurs dans notre société et garder surtout un côté ludique, et, à mon avis trop nécessaire pour continuer à se réveiller chaque matin. Donc à partir de cette idée de la construction, à partir de la couleur, et quelque chose que ça pourra continuer, je ne sais pas si à l'infini, mais c'est quelque chose qu'on pourra continuer à la construire. Donc pour moi aussi, ça c'était important, parce que je considère que, pas seulement dans cette toile, mais dans la peinture, une chose importante pour moi, c'est l'idée de que l'art et la peinture, de mon côté, peut créer des liens et mettre en relation l'être humain avec les autres d'une façon un peu plus simple, directe et fraîche et honnête, on va dire. Donc, en gardant mes petits dessins que je me lance toujours dans la répétition, un peu obsessionnelle, je veux dire, je me suis dit, pourquoi pas fixer, je ne sais pas si de loin on peut regarder ça, mais fixer l'idée dans cet espace. Donc, l'idée de la maison ouverte, à côté de deux chaises qui symbolisent le dialogue entre les personnes, ça pourra être un peu, à niveau esthétique, je veux dire, fixé l'œil vers ça. Après, comme mon côté obsessionnel me l'empêche, je continue à remplir. Donc voilà. Je crois qu'il est un peu équilibré dans le sens de la couleur et les personnages qui bougent. Toujours, j'utilise les personnages à quatre pattes. C'est une représentation aussi, pas seulement au rapport à l'enfance, c'est aussi une possibilité que j'ai pour enlever le sens de pouvoir et pas rentrer dans le conflit. Donc, c'est comme vers les enfants, on essaye de s'approcher et baisser vers lui. Donc, il y a pas mal de ces petits personnages qui sont à quatre pattes. Après, il y a toute une symbolisation dans mon univers, les avions, les bateaux. J'ai mis un second volant. Je ne sais pas, j'aime bien l'idée. Après, quand j'étais gamin, tout le temps, il me disait que les Martiens, ils vont débarquer en son de paix, donc pourquoi pas. Et voilà, c'est cette idée de mélanger l'être humain avec les animaux, à ma façon, évidemment, et un peu la nature, cette idée de branches que nous enracinent à niveau culturel, à niveau humain, mais surtout dans un sens universel. Je considère aussi que mon passage en résidence pendant 10 jours, ça m'a permis à être consciente de l'importance de l'être humain face à l'autre dans n'importe quelle langue, culture au pays de procédance. Donc, après, en général, ces petits dessins très simples, que c'est un bateau, ça représente l'idée de tous les immigrants qui traversent la Méditerranée, parce que pendant quelques temps, je passais des séjours en Espagne, dans l'Andalousie, j'ai vécu à Grenade. Donc j'ai eu malheureusement la proximité à cette réalité vraiment directe. Donc toujours j'utilise comme un geste simple, efficace et un peu morbide, mais pour ne pas oublier certaines choses que les immigrants sont en train de vivre à cause du conflit. Et après, ces personnages qui sont en transformation, que ça fait un moment que j'essaie de le mettre en place, c'est une idée que ça vient du nord de l'Argentine. Déjà, c'est la transformation de l'animal en un être humain, ou au contraire, ou vice-versa. Mais il y a une danse qui s'appelle Carnavalito, qui a un sens joyeux et un peu cérémonial. Donc, ça fait quelques années que j'utilise ce geste pour symboliser une offrande ou remercier quelque chose. Donc, après, si vous voulez me poser des questions, quand on finira, je serai ravi de vous écouter. Merci beaucoup.
Fernando, c'était pas prévu. Merci beaucoup. Mais Fernando a oublié de dire quelque chose et je sais qu'il est trop humble pour le dire. Fernando nous fait don de sa toile à la Geneva Peacebuilding Platform. Mais l'idée, on avait discuté déjà de cela avec Fernando avant, c'est que nous, on va chercher à vendre cette toile et à reverser les bénéfices à une association, soit ici basée à Genève, soit basée à l'étranger, ou à une personne. Et comme ça, on symbolise aussi le don de Fernando, de son art, à une autre personne qui travaille pour la paix ou pour la cohésion, l'insertion ou la cohésion sociale. Donc voilà, c'est ce que je voulais dire, que Fernando n'a pas osé dire en bel artiste que tu es. Merci beaucoup en tous les cas pour ce travail et ce don que tu as fait à la Geneva Peacebuilding Platform.
Merci beaucoup, Fernando, and we would all encourage you to go and look at the painting. Thank you for being a wonderful audience, and we'd like to thank our partners for this event, the Geneva Peacebuilding Platform, the Kofi Annan Foundation, the Colombian Embassy to Switzerland, the U.S. Mission to Geneva, and the Swiss government. And we would like to continue this discussion with you on arts and peace. Thank you so much to our wonderful performers, our peacemakers, our policymakers, and a big thank you also to the wonderful technical team, because we're doing something that they don't normally do. So thank you so much.